Hey, it's me, TB, and today I'm bringing to you another book review. This is for The Last Son by Katie Edwards. This was a selection for the Queer Hero Book Club, which is something I created and host. So I'll have a link down below to the book club Twitter itself, so you can join us in for whenever you want to. We have a new book every month, and we read that. So there we go. I'll have this review broken up into 3 sections: the general synopsis, what the book is about, followed by what it did right, and then what it did wrong. So what this book is about. First of all, I'm going to give you some world-building background, because it takes a while to actually get to that background. We feel like it helped make the book less confusing for you. So this book takes place in our world, but like an alternate reality kind of, where Atlantis existed, and there are Atlanteans that have magic. And there was basically like a World War kind of thing, where Atlantis was basically bombed. So now Atlanteans live on New Atlantis, which is kind of like an island off like the northeast coast of America, kind of. So there's that. And the government of Atlantis basically kind of ruled by the major arcana of the tarot decks. So for instance, the Last Son is referring to our main character, who is the last scion of the Sun Throne, basically. So all of that. They also have magic in the form of sigils, which is basically an object that can store magic in it, and then they can call upon the magic in battle, basically. So that's kind of the general world building thingy to help make it less confusing for you, because it takes place in our world and kind of our same year, sort of. There are pop culture references, which was very weird, a magical novel, I will say, because this feels more otherworldly than our world, but I think it's intentional, hopefully. So the actual plot of this book, you're following our main character Rune, who basically, when the book opens up, is basically on a mission to take down the House of Lovers, because they've been doing really fucked up, mindfuckery shit, sex slavery maybe, who knows. Is wild. So he's there trying to take down the house, and while they're the main leader of the house, basically corners him and says, do this thing for me and I will give you magic, basically. So blah blah blah. She gives him a sigil, kind of make him keep his promise, and then she basically causes the lovers and manor to self-destruct. So he goes to his house and finds out that there's a kid there. Basically the deal, to protect his child and help him grow up. Granted, the child is 17, so it's basically already done, but details. And also there, he gets called in by Lord Tower to basically help find a missing son of another house. I think it's strength, maybe, because that son went missing, and then one of the other sons of that same house is sick in the hospital, so obviously something is going on. So Rune basically sets out with his bodyguard, Bran, to basically figure out why the son went missing and where he is, what's happening, and shit ensues. And there's necromancy and secrets and betrayals, plot reveals, all that shit that goes on in this book. And that is the general synopsis. So what went right? This book is very gay, so it has that going for it. And while it's not romance heavy, there is a little bit of romance in it that I really like. So there's that too. And while the world building was confusing, I did feel that it was very unique, and that's why I liked it, because it felt very different from anything else I've ever read. And the magic system does have consequences to it, because a sigil has to be recharged after it has been used, and then sigils can be breaking or busted. And then and also the thing is that sigils are an old Atlantean magic, so obviously can't really make it anymore because Atlantis is gone. So there's only set amount of sigils left in the world anyway. It's once one is broken, you're basically shut out of luck, because they are very expensive to get a new one, because they're so rare now. And even in this world, there's still certain forms of magic that are forbidden, because they kind of fuck up how the world works, if that makes sense. And our entire cast is very unique, and all stood apart from each other. No one felt that they were kind of the same character or duplicate, if that makes sense. I think everyone in our cast felt very unique to the story, if that makes sense. Granted, still the characters I just did not like, but still I think it was more just their personality than actually them being poorly written, if that makes sense. So yeah, the main strengths of this book are basically the cast, the world building, the magic system, all of that. So the overall mystery is very surprising. There are a few plot reveals and plot twists that I did not see coming, so it has that going for it too. So yeah, it's gay, it's magical, it is plot twist, it is romance. What more do you need? So now for what went wrong, it's the world building for me, because I was so fucking confused throughout most of this book. It took me over a month to read this, because I got so bogged down in the beginning, because it just doesn't make sense until you get halfway, and then it's oh, okay, I get how this world works now. Thankfully, I explained it to you, so you won't have to deal with that. The world building kept adding in more stuff to it, that I felt very confused for most of this, because at first I was thought, oh, we're in a parallel universe. Except no, oh, it's a dystopia where New Atlantis is the last place for humans. No, that's not it either. So very confused until it all kind of finally clicked together for me, which might just be me, might be everyone, I don't know. That was my experience. And also the chapters in this are very lengthy. There were some chapters that take up almost 50 pages, so be ready for that. And because of that, the world building is very slow to kind of piece together, as well as the long chapters that can be the first part of the book, very drawn out and like long to the point of like boredom almost. However, once I did finally get invested, I did get invested. Like I think that in one sitting I basically read over 100 pages just randomly because I finally got like sucked into it. So I do think that this is something that going to have to like try to like kind of push through the beginning just so it all makes sense and works for you. Otherwise you're gonna get very confused very fast. Because it just take like a while to actually like kind of like just get itself going because of how much you don't know. And it feels very like everything just feels slower because you don't know anything. It's kind of like I guess like a minor complaint. There are like no major female characters in this. You know, while it is gay, there's like such like a sizable cast that just kind of feels very like awkward. There is just never like a major female character ever introduced. Like they are like they are there. They're all very minor characters. So it's like it was really none of them kind of like allowed to do more than just like the bare minimum in the plot. They weren't like portrayed badly or anything. It was just that they aren't like very present in the plot. And towards the end, that does kind of change a little bit, but not enough to make it substantial in my opinion. And it's kind of like an issue that comes up towards the end, but our main character does have a traumatic past because when the Throne of Sun was being taken down, he was basically like kind of like taken away into a shed and raped repeatedly. We don't get like the exact details of what happened, but it's kind of like hint towards that being the reality of what happened. And that trauma does come up a few times, so warning for that, you know. However, that the way it's handled towards the end, it makes this book feel like a prequel that was written like after the series instead of like a book one in a trilogy or like a series, if that makes sense. Like when I finished, I was like, this feels more like a prequel, like film, than like an actual like first book in a series. Which I know technically, because it is a book one, it is a prequel. But like, it makes sense once you like finish it or like read it, because like the ending feels very like trying to explain like how a character got somewhere instead of like the start of a series. I guess that probably made no sense, but it makes sense to me. Like I do want to continue on in the series because I did give this book 4 stars, but it was like a 3.7 rounded up. Because I was just so confused for most of this, and like it was just so hard to actually get into. Like, well, it's like surprisingly, the best part is the middle section of this, because like the slow parts to me were the beginning part and the ending part, because like it feels so slow and drawn out. Like I did like it a lot, but I do also feel that certain parts should have been like cut out, should have been like more explanation for certain things. I was so confused for most of this, which definitely is going to affect my rating for it, you know. So yeah, there's like my main thoughts. We don't get like explicit sex scenes in this or anything, so we don't go into expecting like steamy smut or anything. Our main character does come like twice, but it's not like overly drawn out, if that makes sense. So yeah, that is The Last Sun. It's queer, magical, with like plot twists, necromancy, unique world building, all that. So there you go. If you like this video, subscribe, like, share, all that. Hopefully I will see you next week.